Welcome to another episode of the Scottish Property Podcast. My name is Nick Ponte. I'm here with Stephen Clark. How you doing, Stephen?
Good, Nick. Yourself?
Brilliant. Not bad at all. We've got another guest introduced to you this week.
So this week we've got Derek Baskerville of Baskerville Homes, haven't we?
Yep, that's the one. So we had Derek on, and Derek might be familiar to you, some of you guys from our Facebook group, because he's been posting a few projects up there. Some really nice refurbs. He's been doing flips over the past 12 months. I think he's done turned around 3 properties. So he's done really good in this sort of buoyant market, albeit it has been difficult to find the deals. But he talks about that. He talks about what was interesting.
Yeah, he talks about being from his background, which is a joiner and builder background. That's something that I find very fascinating, because people always use that as a crutch that, I don't have hands-on trade experience to get into property, and I always think that's something that is more a hindrance rather than an advantage. And Derek does talk about that as well, how he's obviously finding success as a developer, but he's had to kind of completely let go his builder background. So I think that's really an interesting chat that people might take value from.
What was this quote? He went from earning like £12 an hour to £2,000 an hour.
£100 an hour, yeah.
So it's a shift in mindset, and then he became eventually, the customer, because he was talking about he just had enough of dealing with customers, extensions, conservatories, that sort of thing. And then he was like, I couldn't deal with that anymore. So he was the one on the other side of the fence. So we actually got a bit of a chat about how to build relationships, because he knows it from both sides. He's been the builder and now he's the customer. So how do you go about managing those relationships with builders? Because quite often we find that it can all go a bit sour if somebody has tried to add on a little extra there, and then it comes to the end when the invoice comes in, then there's a disagreement and all the rest of it. Derek gives us some tips on dealing with that. And
absolutely. He also mentions as a disclaimer that he was on my workshop 3 times, I think Nick pointed out. So it makes me embarrassed, because we don't want to do the podcast to promote what we're doing outside the podcast. But if you want to come on my workshop and use the quote, Derek, I'll give you a discount. I'll chuck it back to him.
Brilliant. Well, he was obviously impressed with the content, and honestly, he was not asked to do that, but he did keep mentioning you. So it's obviously, take it as a compliment, Stephen.
I will try, Nick. I will try.
So welcome to the Scottish Property Podcast. We've got Derek Baskerville from Baskerville Homes. How you doing, Derek?
I'm good, thanks, Nick. Yourself?
Excellent, thanks. We've got Stephen Clark as well here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today, Derek.
I appreciate the offer. It's tough, right enough putting yourself out there. So
good, man. You guys already met. I mean, you've been on Stephen's mastermind course, haven't you? So you guys already know each other. But
I went to Stephen's course. What a great course it is. So
the first one. Cheers. I knew there's a reason why we asked John, Derek.
Just get the plugs. Just get the plugs out of the way straight away. So we'll just get that the free advertising for you there, Stephen. Right. Okay.
When I get marketing.
Right, so we got Derek on because Derek's been really good. He's been posting some great projects on the Facebook group. Some great results there, Derek, over the last 12 months. I think you've done about 3 projects, you were telling me. So it'd be good to kind of share some of the details of that. But first of all, let's just go right back to, what your background is and how you got involved in property then. Give us a wee background.
So my background is I'm a fully qualified joiner. Served my time through the joinery, shop fitting, etc., and then moved into building houses for people. Set up my own business in 2004, it was, round about that. Self-employed, just working for others, basically, building their extensions. In between that, jumping on sites, doing a bit of everything, high-end kitchen fitting. That's joinery background is my kind of back, story for it. Then I combined my joinery company with my property investing company in 2019, so that's really going to really start taking note of what I was really doing. I knew you could make money in property. Everybody watches Homes Under the Hammer, for instance, but it's doing it right, and getting shown how to do it basically, and how to leverage the kind of money aspect, etc. That's my background's obviously in the building industry, so I think it gives you a wee kind of legs up, but not much. It's more a hindrance, to be honest. You end up wanting to do all the work.
Do you know what, mate? I'm glad you touched on that, because I find your story really fascinating as well, because you didn't find everyone thinks that you need this knowledge and background on property and renovations and a trade to get a foot up in property development. But like, it's very rare to actually see guys like yourself that are building a property business, property company, and property investing, isn't it? Yeah. So what made you kind of do the jump, and what do you think helped you make the jump, or the smoother transition than most people would struggle with?
I think it was the profits for the 2019 for my own personal house and another project I done within that. You know, there's money there to be made, you know, and you don't need to burst your arse on a building site to make it. You know, working 40, 60, 70 hours a week or whatever you're doing.
On an hourly rate based on a contract?
You can, on an hourly rate, going for like £5, £10 an hour to £15 an hour. Just depends. The thing with sites is it's so varied because you get price work and stuff like that. So you can go into a maintenance contract and you're basically got a van in that, and you just get really low money for, you know, being quite skilled or whatever. But I knew you could start. Once I started making money in my own property, what I would do is I would live in them while doing it, you know, because I didn't know how to leverage the bank's money or anything. It was all personal mortgages and stuff. So I was living in building sites most of my time, which wasn't great for the wife, you know, waking up and there's dust everywhere and stuff like that. But she says enough's enough now because we've got 3 kids. But I'll get further into the story. We maybe do one more.
That's what I was going to say, right? So, I mean, there will be people kind of starting out and they'll be thinking, right, well, this is a good thing to do, obviously, while I live in a place, because there's advantages as well, obviously, of doing up your own place and then selling it, because you obviously don't have to pay the capital gains tax. So that's the kind of main advantage. But like, I've always sort of thought, well, you know, that's fine if you're a young guy or something like that and you've not got any family, but how is that kind of stress of living in a building site with a family?
It's not great. It's not. It's absolutely horrendous, come to think it.
Yeah.
You know, I remember that one I done with the big extension. You know, the back of the house was all knocked away, so you were open to the elements. You know, all you did was like polythene sheeting up to try and stop the rain coming in and things. While you're trying.
How old are your kids, Derek?
One is 14, 10 and 7.
Man, you're making them, it's building character in them.
Well, they now know how to put a kit up, that's for sure.
They now know how to fucking survive in the elements.
Better with a tent, I think, to be honest.
I remember when I was a kid, my mum and dad built a house and we lived in a static caravan for about, I don't know, 12 months or something like that. So, yeah, I kind of remember it. I remember it quite well growing up.
It didn't scar you, mate.
What's that?
It didn't scar you. I had the exact same experience growing up as well. Like, I think my dad took about 10 years to renovate the whole house. So I think most of my childhood was in a building site.
I remember having to go out to, well, help my dad carry bottles of gas and all that so we could change. You know, you had these big canister gas bottles and you would change over the gas so you could get a bit of hot water and heating. But fun days.
You touched on something there, Derek, sorry, about an hourly rate, and you shared this earlier on about the hourly rate you worked out for your last project. Can you share that with the listeners and to show the kind of difference between mindsets and a joiner worker on the building sites on a set to how it worked on your own project?
So basically, I kind of just project managed the last one, and in total, I spent around about 16 hours in it, just under 16 hours it worked out. Now, breaking away for the joiner mindset of actually doing all the work yourself and just getting the teams in. So I went for, say, £15 an hour to making £2,100 an hour because I only spent 16 hours on that one project while I was doing others. You know, so granted that'll fluctuate how much work you need to put into that single project, but it certainly beats grafting away for 40 hours in a building site.
And did you find that's been kind of that mindset shift's been kind of instrumental to going forward now?
100%. It's what mostly I do is calculate how many hours I need to spend in that one time. Because as I said, you know, you can back, so doing all the work yourself. I've done it. I've done all the work myself in these projects, and it's.
How hard was it taking a step back? Because I know I've seen your finish, I've seen your pictures on social media. It's a cracking finish. So how was it to take a step back and have other joiners, other builders doing the work of the projects, and you looking over them?
I think we'd be here all day, Stevie. That's a whole mindset in its own. There's some fucking shocking tradesmen out there. Just they want in and out, leave a shitty job, and I actually that last project was only 15 hours, but I spent an hour going round things redoing it because it's just not a finish I like to leave. It's just something like silicon work and stuff like that, stupid things.
Just rough to get the job done.
Yeah, it's just but that again, that's maybe something I could have not done. But as the wife says, well, there's a wee bit of me, because of where I came from and the kind of background in the joinery, I like leaving a nice product. When I was working for all these clients, building their extensions, fitting their kitchens, something my dad instilled in me when I was younger was, see if it takes an hour longer and the job's done right, you don't need to go back to it. But that's how long it takes. Rightly or wrongly, there's obviously, you need to work out obviously financial side of that.
See, talking about the tradesmen and that, and you're saying there's some shocking, tradesmen out there and stuff. What about that kind of whole, relationship where people as investors, and when they're doing up properties and that, and when they're looking to establish, decent trades and relationships with trades and all that, you can see it from both sides of the fence, right? Because you've been there, as a builder, joiner, dealing probably with some property developers, and you've probably gone in there, you think, he thinks he's Mr. Hotshot, Billy Big Boss sort of thing, do you know what I mean? And they're talking down to you and all the rest of it. Now you're on the other side of the fence. So just to try and give some tips to listeners, what's the best ways of first of all, finding decent trades, like we could give some tips to listeners. Then secondly, kind of managing that relationship so that, so that they are kind of doing what they say they're going to do. What would you say? First of all, kind of finding decent, reliable tradesmen. Is there any things that you could speak to?
It's word of mouth. I would see Indy's got a reputation of word of mouth, and it doesn't need to advertise. They're worth their weight in gold because that's their reputation, 100%. That's the way I used to run my joinery business. I didn't need to advertise. Granted, you're not going to scale up doing that because you're not advertising to bring in more jobs. But you've got a pipeline there. So obviously that helps. Actually going to see some of the projects if you can. Pictures are good. Yeah. Videos are even better because they show a wee bit better. But yeah, just background checks, whatever. There's that many out there now that's simply they've come off a desk job and straight into I can fit a kitchen.
Right.
All the time. I used to get phone calls, can you come and fix this? Can you come and fix that? Like there's a reason why you chose that cheaper quote.
Yeah.
And Peter, it's just not a good finish whatsoever. There I'm starting my words because I'm on camera now.
I would say there are a couple of things that you mentioned there about, the price and stuff like that. If you get 3 quotes in and, the lowest one is like ridiculously cheap, there's probably a reason why he's so cheap. Do you know what I mean? And I would probably stay away from that. The other thing is, if you can get somebody who's like ready to start tomorrow in this current climate, I would suggest that you maybe do a bit more digging, because if they've not got any work on at the moment, then they can't be that good, or else they've just basically started out.
Yeah, most tradesmen will have a pipeline of about 6-7 months now. Some are even away into next year of work. Even one of my friends is Tyler. He always a perfect finish. Everything's got to be 100%, and he's booked up to Christmas. And I'm thankful because if I kind of can go that, I mean a wee hand here, but it is one of the ones that it's who you know.
Aye, and then
Nick was asking there as well, and about the kind of relationships going on, because I've been finding the same, that guys are booked up till the end of the year. That you're having to kind of, I've got a project coming in. I didn't know when the next one's coming in, but they kind of move things around for you and squeeze you in for a few weeks. So, what tips would you give, being on both sides of the fence, to build the right relationships up with these guys to make sure they kind of give you the best price, the best service, but kind of move things around to come to your projects?
Well, that's probably the hardest question, because it's a continuity of work then for them. Because if you're only doing one kind of project and then that's it for that full year, you've done them a kind of job and you've given them that job, but yeah, it's a workflow for them. You know, if you can bring in several jobs at a time throughout this kind of 6 month period or whatever, they're going to put you first. You know what I mean? So that always helps get down that route. So
why do you think you know, the relationships can turn sour between kind of builders and developers or property people? You know, like, where do you see the kind of clashes or the problems getting created sometimes?
probably one of the main reasons why I don't work for clients anymore is because changes, come back with changes 24/7 and then don't want to pay for you doing it. You know, they think it should be a freebie. You know,
Right.
stick to your. On you go.
So basically, getting the schedule of works right from the start, basically, just get
Yes.
it all written down.
Schedule of works right from the start. Agreed price. Now, if there's any changes within that price, you know, if you want to remove a wall, then that's all extra. You have that signed, sealed, and delivered on a separate contract. There's your extras. Don't wait to the end of the job and go, oh, here's all your extras, here's your bill, because they'll just turn around and say, I'm not paying it. Seen it too often. You know, I get took for £6,000 on one of the jobs, so it's just, that's, customers are the worst.
Yeah.
In that kind of respect. It's the only time you actually, and I'm going to say it because I wasn't going to say it, is you've signed an agreement with a customer, and they go to you, well, how much discount can I get? Well, I'll tell you what, I'll give you my bank card, then go and get my shopping, and then see when you get to tell it to pay for my shopping, that's for a discount. Same scenario. You know, your price, tradesmen, you don't need to haggle for tradesmen, you know, especially now in the current market. But
so as a customer now, so you're the customer now, right? So you're on the other side of the fence now. So with your guys then, so we'll get all your guys to listen to this. So you don't haggle with any of your tradesmen now. You just take the price as what it is.
I know how long it takes for them to do that job. You know,
right.
So
they wouldn't try that on.
There's a set rate, you know, within that schedule. So I mean, it only takes a joiner about an hour to hang a door. You know, to do it right, you know, an hour. I've seen people hanging doors in 20 minutes, 30 minutes with electric planers and leaving gaps where you could fit a pencil in. You know, it's all tradesmen kick my butt for that. 2 pence piece between the door frame and the door. You know?
That's the benefit. That's the kind of advantage you've got of getting into the kind of developing now, is that you know exactly what's involved. So nobody's really going to be able to pull the wool over your eyes. So are you doing,
Derek, having that expertise, or at least on a bit of knowledge in kind of renovations?
Sorry, Steve, I missed the first part of that, pal.
Do you think that's an important aspect to have that knowledge and experience and you know, trade background in renovation, so that when you're dealing with builders and contractors, that they can't kind of pull the wool over your eyes? It
certainly helps. I mean, when I get quotes, and actually, you know, for people that don't know me, I don't tell them I'm a joiner builder right away. You know, I wait for the end date and go, by the way, I'm a joiner. So I know how long it takes, you know, but kind of touching back on it, it's a hindrance as well, being a tradesman. Because some tradesmen, once they know you're looking for that job, they'll not come and see it. Because you know, they go, well, why are you not doing the work? Well, I don't need to do the work now. It's simply I pay other people to do it.
Yeah.
You know, but it's getting, I fight it daily, you know, and that's a whole mindset in its own, because I understand how well people are doing out there on the kind of tradesman side, and going, well, I've still got my van with all my tools in it, you know, and well, maybe I should just go and start up a building company again, you know, but I don't, it takes you away from the focus actually investing in doing the bigger projects. Right now I'm trying to get some land and stuff like that on the go. I've got one bit of land on the go now.
So you're off the tools now, mate. You're full time, basically doing your own projects and stuff. Is that right?
Yes, 100% away from the day job. Broke away 9 to 5. Let's go to the golf.
And what's the main strategy for you then, Derek?
Development. Just mine. Obviously, when I came to your course, it was really for basically flips, and you know, I don't have a rental portfolio. I had one or two buy-to-lets, and that was about it. But it's solely developments, because I know how much profit can be made. So I'm looking at the bigger stuff.
Yeah.
You know, the wee kind of low-lying fruits, as it would call. You know, the wee flips on the market. You're not getting them now. simply because it's such a pent up market. Everyone there builds after them. So I look for other stuff. But I think I was speaking to you about talking about going down south, even going to buy an old pub, because there's plenty of developments there, and there's plenty of opportunity there. It's just you need to look at the right strategy for it.
Oh, absolutely. So you're planning for new build developments and sell on?
New build now. I have a plot just now. That'll be for my own just now, and then my brain's actually frazzled because I've got about 4 plots in the go now, and I've just tried to finish one of the spreadsheets there. I was away looking at 3 developments the other week there during the week. So,
see your new developments, right? Are you talking about building houses or flats?
Houses.
Houses.
Flats. There's no really any money in flats anymore. I believe.
That's interesting. Unless you're going to go like, prime, like, city centre or something like that, which is probably not going to be viable. But
that's all to do with location. Then, the build cost to selling ratio is really quite difficult in most areas now. It's actually more valuable to buy something under 100,000 than it is to. You can't build that anymore. That house. As you look at all your reinsurance documents that you get for when you buy your buy-to-lets or whatever, and you'll see your reinstatement cost is about 150 and you've paid 80 grand for it because you can't build that house anymore for that price. So these valued areas are really good.
What about build costs then? Because that's something that I always kind of, like I've always wanted to get into kind of new build as well, but I get to a certain point where I go, I just don't know like what the costs involved are and all that. Have you got a general figure that you work to, like a price per square metre or something? I mean, I know it's gone up recently probably.
Well, when I ran my joinery and building company, we used to base it at £1,000 a square metre. That was years ago. That's out the window now, with the way the material costs are going.
Would you reckon that'd be more like £1,500 a square metre now?
It depends on your area, but I've seen people charging 1,800-1,900 a square metre.
Yeah. You look at the developments I've appraised, as soon as you put in that square meterage cost, the house is not even worth that and end it. And you're looking, how do you pay for the land and do all the site work and make a profit?
That's the thing. You're getting all these land owners think their land's worth X, but see when you actually boil down the figures to show them, their land's worth nowhere near it used to be even 10 years ago. And I have several conversations lined up after this call with other land owners, and it's the same scenario. They think their land's worth X, and I'm going, well, there's the figures. That's how much it's worth, because the time you actually build that house, if you're a developer, it's different if you want to stay in it, because you're not really caring at that point how much money you're going to make on it.
You want a profit margin factored into your appraisal process.
Yes. Yeah. The profit margin, you need to put that in if you're going to be a developer.
I done that recently with a site that my dad's got. We bought this thing for a martial arts gym years ago, and we changed the planning to 2 3-bedroom semi-detached houses, and he's out in Abu Dhabi and wanted to sell it off. He just recently sold it last week, but I done an appraisal on it for him, and I said to him, I said, you'd have to pay me 30 grand to buy the site off you, and you're wanting 70 grand for the site. So you were at a huge shortfall, and it was only just by exactly like you say, putting in the build costs, architects costs, all your groundworks, all your build costs to it, putting in your profit margin. Even I think most lenders wouldn't really look at you unless it's above 20% for lending. So it's putting a 20% margin on it for profit, and you were minus 30 grand on paying for the land. It's just, there's no value in them, and it's trying to, like you say, explain that to the landowners that it's not worth what you think it's worth.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, I've had several appraisals there. I think the most one was the land was worth minus 325,000. And they wanted about 400 grand for it. They're going, where are you getting that figure, mate? But even your local kind of agents, they're still working an old rule of thumb where it used to be a third. Third build cost. But that's the way out the window. Now, especially the way it's went.
Do you think you could project manage these back through your experience and background to a lot lower build cost per square metre rate then, because you're kind of, I'm assuming you'd split up the packages into different, sections, your groundworks, joinery package, electrician package, plumber package, and save a fortune rather than a main contractor?
If you go down the main contractor route, you're paying obviously all their profit margins, and that could be as much as 30% in some cases. But definitely, if you want to self-manage it and self-project manage it, that again leads to another kind of scenario of the capability skills on that. Sometimes it's easier just to go, here, there you go, you deal with it. But, you could be here all day talking about that as well, because you're better with an in-house team. If you really want to go down that route, but then you've got pensions and everything to pay, holiday pay and everything. So,
a team of guys that you employ on an hourly wage rate.
Yes.
You can get the most out of them. That makes sense.
You need to bring in the workflows again. You need to have that next deal lined up ready for, because you don't want them sitting idle, obviously.
It's costing you money sitting there. Absolutely.
So you said that the kind of just going back a wee bit to what you said about the kind of the smaller kind of flips and that, your kind of 3-bed end terraced houses and all that, because you were doing quite a lot of that, and you've posted up 3, I think maybe couple of 2 or 3 projects on the Facebook group which were quite interesting. So do you want to just go into a wee case study about your end terraced house that you posted? Was that whereabouts was that again?
That was South Lanarkshire, that one.
South Lanarkshire, yeah. So people can go on and check out the pictures, but it was a lovely job, and the figures were quite tasty as well. So do you just want to go? How did you find that one then?
That was on Rightmove. It was just basically just knowing the figures.
Yeah.
Knowing what you could. I've had one or many houses. I had 3 houses, so I knew what was involved in them.
Was that Hamilton?
I didn't even go and see
it. Was that in Hamilton?
No.
Motherwell.
Come on, Nick, come on. Everything the dog's going to be after my area.
Do you not put the location up when you posted that one? I thought it was.
No, if it was, then that's my bad. I'll need to move it.
That's why, just for anybody who's listening, that's why Derek's got a secret location background on his Zoom at the moment. He's got a palm tree and a beach in the background, so he's disguising his location anytime we speak to him.
Yeah, whoever knows me and stuff like that is know where I am. And
we'll call it Scotland.
Yeah, just
no, he says South Lanarkshire, so it can only be really what is it? Motherwell, Hamilton, Lanark.
Stop trying to get his location.
Actually, Motherwell's not South Lanarkshire, is it? Is that not North Lanarkshire?
Sorry, I missed that bit.
Motherwell, that's North Lanarkshire, is it?
That's North.
Right, cool. Anyway, right, okay, so tell us a wee bit about that one, right? So you got it on Rightmove. As you said, at the moment, to try and find these deals on Rightmove is pretty difficult, so you did pretty well.
It's simply knowing your end numbers, as Stevie teaches you in his course as well, so...
That must be 3 plugs you've given Stevie's course now, mate. That's enough. Come on, that's enough.
making my face blush again.
It's simply knowing your end numbers, knowing what it's going to cost to renovate and stuff like that, and then you work out the rest.
So closing date, people were saying like everyone's going to closing dates. Was that a closing date?
No, it was a chap at the door. Didn't want to even put it in the market. I could have probably get a wee bit more for it, but it was fine. I was happy with that because it's no good. I am interested in profit, but money's not my drive. It's more about the product and.
Oh, sorry, I meant when you bought it. When you bought it originally, was it a closing date? No.
No.
Just went in straight with an offer.
It came on the market at 9 in the morning, and it was off the market at 10. And I didn't go and see it.
Nice.
It was simple. I knew the agent, and they knew that I would be quick buying. I buy with cash, obviously. So.
All right. Well, there's a couple of things, right? So you've got a relationship with the agent. So that's what we tell people. It's all about relationships. You're a cash buyer, so obviously that gives you a wee bit more extra clout as well. If
you're not waiting on mortgages then.
Exactly. So that just shows people that does hold value. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. If you can be a cash buyer, and I think the quickest, I've not done it personally, but I've heard that you can do it within about 2 weeks. Is so if somebody's in financial difficulty or whatever, or for whatever reason, it's just the case of getting out. They're just wanting their money and move on. If they're wanting the top dollar for their house to leave it in the market, they could wait 6 months. They've got all the mortgage costs, council tax and bills, etc. It all adds up. So the price that you're offering might end up that price anyway at the end of the time they take all their costs off. So
no, that's good. So like purchase price, just run us over. People can go and check the post out, but can you remember the figures?
Purchase price was, I've got the figures in front of me.
I knew I was going to ask.
No, it's a nerves of sweaty palm moment, you know what I mean? You're going, because
he's got to test me on these numbers.
Well, the thing is about I've had to write everything down because I don't keep track of it unless it's on the computer.
Yeah.
I move on for that deal and then move away, you know, into the next one. It's simple. There's no emotion me buying a property. That's the way I look at it.
But it's good because it gives people an idea. I mean, you've just bought that. When was it? Last year. So it was in a difficult market. So this is why we bring you on, because people there's no deals, nothing's happening. And then if we get people on like yourself sharing these deals and people gives them a wee boost, and then it makes you realize that although it is difficult and they're few and far between, it's still possible.
Yeah, well, it's still very possible. There's still some deals to be had. So the purchase price for that was £65,000. Acquisition costs and refurb costs were £21,416.
Oof, right. You've got it to the detail there, mate.
And then the profit margin was 33,584.
Brilliant.
So that's where we said about I worked out the hours on that one. It worked out about £2,100 an hour. And when you broke it down that way, that certainly beats the 40 hour a week grind in 95.
Absolutely.
100%.
Did you send in a contractor to do the whole job, or did you just project manage it in individual trades?
Contractor, this one.
Right, nice.
So that's why the cost was a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I was doing the job, obviously I'd need to still pay myself. I could have screwed that to the bone. I mean, I screw every project to the bone. You see all the kind of people renovating, they'll lucky plaster, through every room. I'm too tight for that. Pay the painter a couple of extra quid and he'll do the whole house with filling. You know, it's I'm not going to be living in that property, so I don't need everything absolutely perfect. As good as I would leave a customer's job, the house is getting sold on. There's a profit margin to be made. Still want to leave a nice job.
And did you go to the extent of doing the staging, putting furniture in, or did you just sell it kind of blank?
Not with this one. I have done previous ones because this one, the new owner wanted in quite it helped the 6 month rule.
Yeah.
And my van was away getting fixed. And to be honest, I couldn't be bothered to actually rent another van.
Yeah.
I knew the property was sold anyway, so.
Like you say, you didn't get greedy. You said you didn't get greedy. You just took the offer. You didn't go push to a closing date or that. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly right. I reckon they could have got more. We've been told by the agents we would get more for it. I think I was happy with that kind of profit. Mm-hmm. She's the new owner's getting a good turnout. It's all about, saved obviously in sale costs a wee bit, but when you get 3 people chat the door, want to buy it, letters through the door, want to buy it. So that's how good the market was, or they know you're doing it up to sell it, so.
Like you say there, it was about kind of like you were talking earlier there about getting into bigger developments and all that. But like for me, if you could get 10 of them, you would take them tomorrow, wouldn't you? But obviously you're looking at the market and it's very difficult, and the effort that's involved to actually, source a deal like that, to number of viewings you need to do, that sort of thing. I guess you're thinking, well, I could be doing like new builds, and it's maybe, surely it must be a lot of work as well. But why are you now thinking that you've had success in doing these wee flips? Like, why are you wanting to push on now into this kind of like bigger stuff? Is it just bigger profits, or?
One bigger profits, plus we can build a house quicker than we renovate it. It's you don't with the new builds, you can build it within about 6 months. You can actually build it a lot quicker with the right team. The quickest I've seen a house going up is 8 to 10 weeks. For a 3-bedroom house. So, because we build in timber kit in Scotland, so while the kit's going up, kit can go up within a week when the watertight, and then you get the brick skin on the outside, etc. So it's just time. You know, there's more effort goes into a kind of refurb. You know, you need to go and source your kitchens, you need to do everything. You still need to do that when you build, but you have a set template.
It's the unknown, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what you're finding when you get in there. At least a new build, you've got, like you say, timber kit, brand new, bricks, insulating, sheeting.
But what's the kind of main challenges then? Is it finding the land? Is it getting the planning permission? Like, what's the toughest part of that whole process, would you say, to new build?
Landowners. Just wanting too much money for their land. As the price goes up to build and the house prices aren't catching up, their land's devaluing. And they just don't get that. You know, what they say, it's typical estate agent. As soon as they go to a estate agent just wants it in their books because they don't know how it costs to build a house, you know, so they just put X on it, you know, and go, oh, we'll sell it for £100,000. But if the house is only worth £200,000, then it costs you £150,000 to build it. You know,
I've heard of some people being successful with like approaching landowners and doing sort of JV, you know, joint venture deals and stuff like that, because then it's like, you know, the developer's not really having to put out, you know, to buy the land in the first place, but then the landowner gets the maximum out of it as well. I don't know if that's something you've explored.
It's something I'm working on now with a landowner to build 4 houses. So they'll get maybe a house out of it for nothing.
Yeah.
You know, there is avenues that way. It's with land development, it's more time consuming than, you know, going out and trying to source a wee flip here and there.
Right.
Profits could outweigh that, obviously. It just depends. I mean, don't know.
See with the land sourcing, I've often find that must be quite difficult because, like, I mean, you can look on Rightmove, and although Rightmove's got like a section that says land, there's like about 5 listings that come up. Do you know what I mean? There's hardly anything on there. And then you listen to like English podcasts and stuff, and they seem to have like some magic bit of software that you can go on and sign up to a portal that basically identifies all these different bits of land. But in Scotland, I don't think we have that. I can't remember the name of it now. But
Nimbus Maps.
Nimbus, that doesn't work in Scotland, does it?
No. I called them up to see if it would. So I actually, I'm not a land sourcer, but it's something I'm looking at doing because I've set up a wee system that I've got about 200-300 bits of land there for potential development, all off market. And it's just a case of, well, you need to contact the landowner basically. So generally speaking, within about 10-15 minutes, I've found all the details of that one piece of land. Nimbus Map gives you all there and then when you obviously find it. So it's just setting up the system to do it.
And are you going to let us into your system?
Nope. Come on, Nick. You want my gold mine here? You want my system?
I'm kidding on, mate. No, I mean, like, obviously, yeah, I've looked into a wee bit myself, but for me, it just feels like you basically just need to do a lot of kind of chatting on doors, you know, Google satellite maps, posting letters out, land registry, possible searches as well. But yeah, it seems like it's not quite so straightforward in Scotland. But yeah, it'd be good to obviously see.
It's just time consuming and because I've been doing it for relatively a wee while now. No, I've just it's well, you do something well. Yeah. Sorry, if you do something enough, you become really good at it. So it's, you know, that's down, you know. So
cool. And have you set yourself the goal then for the kind of new build development? Then have you set some sort of target that you want to get? For the new build development, sorry. So you haven't actually done any new build development yet, but obviously that's what you want to go on to, is it?
No, I've got one now. It's the multiple. When you get into the kind, building a single house is relatively all right. But it's when you try and scale up and do more than one, and you're trying to do 20, for instance, then that's a different ball game altogether. You know, you've got health and safety regulations and stuff like that as well. So
Yeah.
What's the site you've got at the moment? Then can you talk us through that one?
Yeah, well, it's going through planning now. I bought that with planning. That had planning for a 3-bedroom house, a very basic design, and it also had a change of use for 2 flats. And I've put it back through planning to upscale it from the kind of tiny 3-bed house to a 5-bed. Just knowing the end market, knowing what it's going to go for. So you'll have planning gain there, plus the end of it, what the end value is.
That's a nice uplift in the value there by recognising that you can change the planning.
Yes, yeah. So I mean, I could put it once it's through planning, put it back in the market and get a wee bit more for it, or I could build it out and you're probably talking about £100,000 plus profit for it. So, but again, depending on the build cost right now, that's what it varies down to at the end of the day and how long it's going to take for planning. But with developments, it's a long time thing. It's a long term, because you're not doing it right away. It's not like a flip where you can purchase it in 4 weeks. If you've been through the full planning process, you could buy a year and a half into it.
Wow. I think that's always what's put me off, you know, like the length that, like, you see some of these developments taking years. Do you know what I mean? But I think that's what's kind of put me off more than anything else. But no, it'll be great to kind of follow your progress on that. Wish you the best of luck.
Well, I will be posting about it and stuff like that because obviously I'm pretty quiet. I don't like showing off or anything like that, but I'm more about product, not brand. You know, if my product's there, brand will follow.
Yeah.
But a lot of people focus on brand and then let the product follow. So each to their own. And social media is where it's all at, obviously. I was too busy being my own wee island, as me and Stevie would talk about it that day. You know, like just stuck in my own wee island. It's just me here, you know, here. I've done this. Have you? Nobody knows. You know?
But obviously, like you've obviously kind of realised the potential, that there is potential out there to kind of work with so many people, because like what I'm thinking at the moment as well is, you know, there's a lot of people out there that have just got money stashed away in the banks. Do you know what I mean? And you know, likes of everybody's looking for investors. Do you know what I mean? That gets involved in property, because if you've got any ambition, then you want to kind of scale up to the next level. You want to keep building, you want to keep going. And only, you know, we've only got like so far that our own money's going to go. So eventually you're going to reach a point where you run out of money and you're like, well, I need other people to work with here. So, you know, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's all about building up that credibility. You know, I think also, I mean, I do use investors' money. Also use my own money. I like everything working. If I make money, the investor's going to make a good chunk of money as well, because, as I said, I like making profit, but it's not my drive. You know, it's about that product at the end of the day, and I'm guaranteeing 100% it'll make money. But putting yourself, you know, building up that kind of network. Network's very important. That's something I've kind of realised now, that you need to network. You know, being stuck in my wee island is just never going to hack it.
You know that product that you were talking about? So when you come to build your houses, right, a product you brought up a couple of times, are you going to do them like to a really kind of decent, you know, level? I mean, you've got to watch so you don't overspend, because you might not pull that back. But, you know, in terms of like, you know, I'm sitting in a wimpy house at the moment, right, which was, you know, I bought it and I came in and it's in a cracking location for the kids. We absolutely love it because it's a real good family home, right? But see, in terms of the build quality and the product, as you say, you know, you go into the bathrooms, man, it's the cheapest of shit that they put in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what standard are you going to do yours to?
My wife used to drag me around new show homes going, I want to move here, you know, this has been cracking. And the first thing I'd walk in and do is shake the banister to see if it's actually tied into the floor joists.
Yeah.
And they're just tied into the stringers, and see when you start doing this, you know, moving about, I just walk out, you know, because if that's the quality they're going to leave. It's not the first time I've heard joiners buying, I'm not naming any building names or anything like that, but actually ripping it back to the bare shell again, because it's all done in price work. As quick as that, tradesmen can get in and out. I think now there's good quality. Depends on the level star of builder. You know, you get 3-star builders away up to 5, 7. You know, so
I
and
think you
it'll
can
be
tell the
do that.
difference between a Wimpy and a Cala. I mean, if we're talking about big brands here, do you know what I mean? You know, I think that's what I've seen. But yeah, Stephen. Let's hope that we've not scuppered our chances of getting a sponsorship deal with Taylor Wimpy here for this podcast.
You said the names. I've not said anything. There's my disclaimer. Yeah, but it's all to do with their level of checks at how good that tradesman's done their job, and it's just as quick as they can throw them up.
I have been guilty before in the past when I've done like a flip and stuff like that. You know, you go in, you maybe discover a problem or something like that, you know, and you maybe think, oh, I could just plaster over the top of this here, you know, like a big crack or something like that. But then you do think, no, that would be really terrible, you know, like because you'd be selling that on to somebody, then it would cause them a problem down the line. And then, you know, you obviously want to do things. You've got a reputation as well. You are trying to build a brand because you've got Baskerville Homes, you know, so eventually you're going to have that sign up on your building site.
Well, that's it. You know, I'll put my name to it at the end of the day. Yeah, you've got profit margins to watch, but you can still leave a good job as you go along. You know, it doesn't need to be cut corners here. You know, seen it too often. People cutting corners. It's just the nature of the game, I think.
Product over profit. I like it.
Starting to make me feel depressed now. We talk about the old building game.
Well, we'll take you out of that. We'll take you out of that zone again, mate. So you've come out of the building game. You're into developing. So it has been a total mind shift for you, you know. But we will have people listening to this that are probably in a similar circumstance to what you were before. You know, only like a few years ago.
Well, I started just pretty much 2019. Pretty much my first property that I bought was first investment property was in 2015, and I went out to buy a new car, and I come back with a flat with the wife because I paid £15,000 for it, which I've just resold that for 50. So I'm happy. I made just over 100% return on my money on that one. You know, but I was in the right area at the right time where I worked at the time. The deals don't come up often, but it's the mindset is totally different. I think.
And a risk. What about risk? Was there an element of risk there as well in terms of right? I need to do this. I need to sacrifice time. I need to knock back work here to allow me to grow this, to build this. Did you have to go through that in your head?
Absolutely. I've had 6-7 phone calls since I actually gave up for people wanting me to build extensions and do work in their house, etc. And I just don't do it. You know, I'll help out friends who are really struggling, you know, or have been let down badly by the tradesman or whatever. But apart from that, I don't take any work on. I won't do it.
That's hard as well because, like, obviously you get these chunks of cash when you're doing the flips. Like, you get 30 grand here, you know, 20 grand there, whatever. But then you might go through a wee bit of a dry spell there, and it's all about kind of cash flow. Stephen's talked about this before as well, you know.
Obviously, cash flow is king and having everything. That's why you have try to do 2 and 3 at a time. You know, leapfrogging through them, which I done through the COVID there. You know, but yeah, having that cash flow set up. You know, people go into kind of sourcing and stuff like that. Something you could look at. You know, maybe if I do the system with land, and I could maybe start selling some of that on. You know, getting that in and then sell it to people who they're willing to buy it. So it's it's a feast or famine type thing with the developments and making lump sums.
Yeah.
You put your wages in the bank and class it as a wage. You know, I'm not going out buying like, new jewellery or anything like that. Or, you know, I've just made a big chunk of money. That money sits in the bank, so it pays me a wage every month.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And the buy-to-let doesn't really interest you, know, it doesn't float your boat.
I get my finger caught in a cookie jar with that, and it really set a bad sour taste. No, I probably will, and I spoke to Steve about it ages ago. Is getting the buy-to-lets obviously for the cash flow and sticking to your criteria and everything as well. But right now, if I see a deal that's a kind of pretty much all money out, then I'll take it. if I leave a wee bit in, then I'm happy with that.
Cool. Excellent. Well, do you want to just wrap us up and just tell us where people can find you? I know you said that you're not one for social media and putting yourself out there, but you're doing stuff, putting up some good posts on the group, and I have seen you in other places as well. So I know you are doing a bit of this. So where can people get you?
So generally speaking, I'm mostly on LinkedIn, is where I'll do most of the posts and stuff, and because it's more business orientated, people don't mind seeing that stuff. Facebook is I have started doing it obviously, so you'll catch me on Facebook. Just type in my name and it comes up obviously.
Right, mate. We'll link your social media channels on the show notes, the podcast as well. So people
see, I'm already starting to feel uncomfy now.
That's good, mate. Brilliant. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm sure loads of listeners will take real value from that, mate.
Right. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Derek. That was brilliant. Much appreciated.
Cheers, Stevie. Cheers, Nick. Thanks.
So, guys, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Derek Baskerville. I know we did. It was a nice chat. It was very different. It was a different background. Someone we've not really interviewed that's came from a trade background, which I thought was quite refreshing, wasn't it, Nick?
Yeah, we'll look forward to following his new build developments he's kind of going on to, and I think that's where his focus is. So a lot of people be interested in that too. But as always, guys, thanks very much for your continued support. If you like this podcast, then please share it on your social media and tag us in there, and we'll share it out to our followers as well. And keep posting about us. And if you've got a minute, then please leave us a podcast review as well.
Brilliant. Thanks for listening, guys.